In this video, I'm going to talk to you about something that's really not talked about so much because usually it's kind of tabbed for beginners, but I'm going to talk to you about your shipping policies in particular. And while it's beneficial for, of course, if you're just starting on eBay to have this right, I didn't have it right, and I've been dealing with this for years. So let's talk about that on the other side. So without any further ado, let's go. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flippin' Ain't Easy. And as I mentioned on the other side of the introduction, I'm going to talk to you specifically about shipping policies. But before I get there, because we're going to go to the computer and show you how to set those up and some of the things that you could do depending on your setup, is to first kind of evaluate what you have going on. What are you doing? If you're a new seller, of course, you're going to kind of have to figure this out as you go. I have a friend named Don. You know, he bought a bunch of liquidation stuff like 2 years ago, and it's been sitting in his garage. I've been kind of on his butt the whole time. And of course, he's getting around to it finally. And he used to sell many, many years ago. We sold diamonds together and on eBay, an odd thing to sell on eBay. And it's changed a lot since he's done it, like we're talking like 12, 13 years ago. And so he's now, I was talking to him on the phone today and kind of telling him the ins and outs, and it's kind of a lot for one to kind of absorb. And that's someone who's had experience dealing with eBay. I can just imagine if you've never done eBay or you're relatively new to eBay, all the different intricacies that and possibilities and options that are available to you. And, you know, for the most part, if you, over time, you know, you're continuing to sell on eBay, you're going to get it right eventually. As mentioned, you know, before the introduction, that, you know, I've come to the realization that maybe I haven't been doing it right. And I kind of touched on this on the live stream. Of course, if you haven't watched the live stream, go ahead and watch that here. eBay promotes the seller. They really want the seller to utilize free shipping. They also want the sellers to utilize free returns, and to the point where, and I don't know how much boost you get. There's a debate. Some people say you don't get any, but you know, there is no textbook on this. Like I mentioned in the live stream, that it's my belief that anything eBay asks you to do, anything that eBay incentivizes you to do, like for instance, if you do these things, you can become not only top rated, but top rated plus if you offer free returns. If they're willing to incentivize you in such a way where they're going to give you 10% back in final value fees, then that tells me that they're willing to also, without saying it, incentivize those listings that offer free shipping and free returns. Free shipping, as we're going to talk about here in this video, is what I'm shooting for. I'm trying to convert a lot of my listings, you know, a few at a time, as these listings transition from the 30-day period and they recycle back as they do every month. I'm hitting all those listings, changing them over to free shipping if they're under £1. Now, currently, if anything's over £1, I'm charging $9.99 shipping. That covers most scenarios for up to £2. Anything over £2, it's calculated. And on all those listings where the buyer's paying shipping, I am not offering free returns. So that's kind of how I'm setting it up. It's up to you to evaluate how you're going to do your business or how you're going to set up your policies. What I want to do is I want to show you what the different options are with setting up your shipping policies. Specifically, I'm not going to get into the other policies. Maybe that's for another video. But specifically, just looking at the different options that are available to give you an idea of what I'm doing for each scenario, each type of package. And hopefully you can take a step back, maybe reevaluate, maybe take a look at what you're currently doing. Maybe it's time to ask yourself, why do I have my shipping policy set up in the way that I do? Is there a reason why on smaller items that I don't offer free shipping? Why I don't build the price of shipping into that price of the item itself and get that boost from eBay? So all I ask you to do is kind of look at this with an open mind. Maybe you guys have all this figured out. Maybe you don't need to worry about changing anything. Maybe you're just knocking it out the park. But here's the reason why we're deciding now to kind of do this. It's time to get competitive. The market is going to slow down for a number of factors. The economy is not good. We're getting into the summer slowdown. And for me, there's two factors I'm working on right now. Increasing the size of my store, because ultimately it's a numbers game. If there's any kind of slowdown and I'm working with a 500 item store, it's going to hit me harder than if I have a slowdown with a 1,000 item store, considering that all the items are pretty much the same. I don't want to be hit or dealing with a 500 item store. I'd rather be on 1,000 item store, which is what we're building up for. My anticipation is we'll have that here in the next few weeks, or maybe a month or two. Just depends on the progress we're able to make. And we're making good sales, which is taken away from that progress, which is fine. And the second thing I'm trying to reevaluate is how I can stay competitive and get more sales and increase my impressions that we talked about a while ago, increase my page views, and ultimately increase the number of items sold, which I have seen an increase in the past week. So let's shoot on over to my computer. Let's take a look at the different ways you can set up your shipping policies. Maybe you're going to gain some ideas from this, and maybe you won't. But at least we could take a look to see if there's anything at least we can do on this side of things to maybe improve our stores and our eBay situation. So you want to go to account settings, and you want to go to your business policies. And once you're here, now you can see I already have some policies set up. It won't let me get rid of the other ones. You can see I have old ones as old as PayPal still in here. So that's how long it's been I've sold in this account. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to create a policy. So you go and create policy, and I want to do a, in this case, I want to do a shipping policy. So I click on that. Now, I'm not going to go through and make 1,000 policies on this video. I just want to kind of go through all the different options. You would simply, it's a good idea to give each policy you create a name. So make it simple, make it easy to understand. If you have a free shipping policy, maybe put free shipping first class, or free shipping priority mail, whatever it is, put a clear name. And you only have 64 characters to work with, so you can't write a novel here. Okay, and then of course, if you need clarification maybe to help you understand, this is kind of where the next box where it says policy description, this is where you want to maybe put a description of exactly what this policy is. Okay, now you could check this box down here where it says set as default shipping policy, and that's fine. I mean, if you're selling pretty much the same type of item and you're maybe doing a flat rate for everything, let's say I'm doing $6.99 for every item no matter what, then of course set that as a shipping, the default shipping policy. Now when you come down here, this is where you actually create the actual policy itself. So now you can choose to do flat rate shipping. Now this is US shipping. Now that's where your default is. Most of your orders are going to be within the United States. So you can either choose flat, which is the same cost to all buyers that you'll be able to determine and set. The buyer will see that in the listing. You could do calculated. That cost varies by buyer location. So the buyer, once they're signed into their account, eBay is going to see their registered zip code and assign them the actual price it costs to ship from where you're at to where they're at, and based on the dimensions you've placed in the actual listing. That's why it's so important to get the correct weights, correct dimensions of the package, so that the buyer has an accurate idea of what it's going to cost them. The last thing you want to happen here is for that buyer to pay you $10 to ship it. It's going to cost you $15 because you didn't have that in there. And then the freight, if you have items over 150 pounds, I won't go into that because I don't deal with anything that large, and I'm sure most of you don't. And then no shipping, local pickup only. I've only done one of these where someone asked me if they could pick it up locally. It was a large item. I didn't want to ship it anyway. So I was good with them picking it up. That was only one time, and I probably won't use it again. So we're just going to cover the first two. Now on flat rate, same cost to all buyers. eBay still wants you to put the type of method you're going to ship that item. So maybe it's a first class situation where your item is under £1. You're just going to come here and select USPS first class, 3 to 5 business days. Now, in talking to my friend earlier, just trying to give him the basics. To me, this is the basics. This is what makes most sense for most sellers. If you have an item that is under £1, simply, and actually £1 or lower if you're buying your labels through eBay, you would go ahead and simply use USPS first class. Okay, any other carrier for an item that small is not going to save you money. It's going to cost you more money. Okay, if you sell items that are over £1, it's been my experience that between 1 and 3 pounds is probably USPS priority mail, which is under expedited services. Okay, anything 3 pounds or larger, it's my experience that UPS ground or FedEx ground is going to be your best value unless that item can fit into a flat rate box or USPS flat rate envelope, which we're not going to get into all those options on this video. Okay, if you're able to fit your items into a flat rate situation like a box or an envelope, then you'd want to use the flat rate. And for me, find out what that flat rate cost is, maybe add $1 to it, and you come right in here. So I'm going to pick, USPS priority mail. Let's say it's a 2 pound item, and I've determined it's going to cost me like $8.95 or whatever the cost is. Just throwing that number out there. I'm going to set maybe $9.99 as my price, okay, for shipping. If you have additional items, maybe you want to give them a discount. Maybe it's $4 each additional item. And if you just want to do free shipping, forget all this. Don't even put anything in here. Of course, put the method that you plan on using to ship, but do free shipping. Just click that box and you notice it makes these two options zeroed out. Okay. Now, one thing that you can also do is if you're not sure if you're going to use UPS ground, FedEx, or USPS priority mail, for instance, you can go down here to standard services and choose standard shipping, 1 to 5 business days. And that'll basically tell the buyer in the listing that you're going to ship it out and it's going to take 1 to 5 business days. It's not going to tell them what carrier. It's my experience that most buyers don't really hold you to the type of carrier. Every once in a while, you may encounter someone using a P.O. box, and that kind of forces your hand because USPS is the only method that'll actually deliver to most P.O. boxes. UPS and FedEx, they do not deliver to P.O. boxes. Now, you hear one-off stories once in a while how they'll deliver it to that post office. The post office will put it in the P.O. box, but that's not really common practice for them. So generally, this standard shipping idea, if you're dealing with a free shipping situation, gives you the flexibility of not having to specify what carrier you're going to be using prior to that buyer buying it. And if they do drop a P.O. box on you, you can then just go in and buy that USPS priority mail label. So that's kind of how you set up a flat shipping situation. The other way to do it is, and I would recommend you figuring out what's best for you, but I would recommend in calculated if it's more than 3 pounds. So if it's more than 3 pounds, now you have a lot of variables that will be figured into the equation, like the weight, of course, we know is important, but also the dimensions of the package. The length, the width, and the height of the package are just as important to the actual price of that package being shipped as the weight is. So you need to figure all those things out. And what I would recommend doing is using calculated. And now you'll know. For me, it's like this. If it's over 3 pounds, I know that 9 times out of 10 that UPS ground or FedEx, FedEx ground, which you guys know I don't use anymore. Those are going to be your two most competitive carriers to ship anything over 3 pounds with a decent size item. Now, if it fits, like I said, your priority flat rates. You will certainly, I'm sure, know that in advance, and you'll be able to determine that. But in general, most packages over 3 pounds, you want to use UPS Ground or FedEx. And I would definitely recommend not going the FedEx route. That's just my experience. You do what you want to do. But for me, I've had nothing but headaches with FedEx Ground, FedEx Home, FedEx Second Day, and it's cost me a lot more in the long run for some packages, hidden fees and things like that, things you want to avoid. So let's just say we're going to set up our UPS Ground package for calculated. You certainly do not want this button clicked. It makes no sense to use calculated shipping and to click on free shipping. I've seen that mistake made before. What happens is the buyer buys your item for $5 and you're out of the pocket $10 for shipping. Then you're losing money on the deal. So make sure whenever you're using calculated that this box, free shipping, is never checked. So now, those are the two options. Now, real quick, before I go to the next step, if you're dealing with calculated, it's very important to heed this advice. If you want to be competitive with your competition and you're charging calculated shipping for your item, do not charge your buyer retail rates. And the way you can change this, right now eBay will give you discounted rates when you buy the label through them. And if you want to pass on your discount to your buyer so that they can pay what you're going to be paying, then you go to your account settings, you go to your shipping preferences, you can see down here, and you want to go in and you want to change your carrier specific discounts for buyers right here, okay? And so my domestic shipping discount, I'm going to hit edit, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to offer a discount on negotiated rates for USPS discounted, FedEx, and UPS, okay? And then hit save. Now, if you're trying to make money off the buyer, if you're trying to make money off shipping and it's working out for you, you're able to get away with it, you're able to make sales, then you can simply click here and do not offer carrier specific discounts to the buyer. That means that the label really costs $20 and eBay's given you a $12 label cost. You're not passing that on to the buyer, which means also that when that buyer chooses to search for your item, let's say lowest item price plus shipping, that will affect your ranking in that search. You will not be the lowest priced seller in most cases in that scenario. So I don't recommend clicking on this bottom option here, and go to this option here in the middle, offer eBay negotiated discounted rates, hit save, so that way that $12 label will be passed on to your buyer. If you want to go in here, I'm going back to the actual policy. If you want to set a handling cost, you can set $1. You could set $2 depending. I wouldn't get too crazy with it, but generally whenever I have a item shipped by UPS Ground, I add $1 because I'm paying for supplies, bubble wrap, boxes, poly bags, things like that. And this kind of goes towards the cost of taking care of that. Selecting a handling time. I generally recommend, I used to be on the same business day train. Now it's a 1-day business. Anything more than that to me is excessive, and there's really no reason why you can't take care of these packages in 1 business day. You know, like tonight, anything sells before midnight, eBay wants you to ship them out tomorrow. I think that's fair, but you do what works best for you. Then you scroll down here to international shipping. Now I do mine through the global shipping program, which we're not going to jump into on this video on how to set all that up because the video is running longer than I thought. But what you do want to know, let's just say we're setting up our listings for US only sales. The last thing I want you to look at is creating an exclusion list. So you click on that, and this is very important. If you have an item that's larger than 3 pounds and you're using UPS Ground or FedEx, you're going to want to click these boxes off. No Alaska, Hawaii, US protectorates, that's like your Puerto Rico, Guam, that type of thing. APO, FPO, these are US bases that are off outside the United States. If you're not using global shipping program, I would automatically check these. If you are going to be using global shipping, then of course, for the most part, leave these unchecked. Also at the bottom, check that P.O. box if you have anything larger than 3 pounds that you're shipping through a different carrier. That should be unchecked only if you're shipping by USPS, whether it's first class or priority mail. So as you can see, I probably could have made a long video, which I have no desire to do. But I just wanted to show you guys the basics of setting up your policies as pertains to your shipping policy. I can tell you 3 years ago, when I first started setting up these policies, I didn't even realize that the P.O. box option was down at the bottom on like half of my policies. It didn't even apply. And of course, I needed to have that box checked because I was shipping it through UPS Ground or FedEx, and it was totally messing me up. For instance, I had a UPS Ground order and they had a P.O. box. I had to cancel the order due to the address. This item was going to cost me like 3 times the amount of UPS Ground if I shipped it to their P.O. box with USPS priority mail, and I wasn't trying to do that. So I learned over the years, trial and error, what works and what doesn't. I can also tell you what doesn't work. If you're shipping UPS Ground or FedEx, you want to make sure that Puerto Rico, your U.S. protectorates are checked. Also, make sure that your Alaska, Hawaii's are checked and your APO, PPOs are checked, because FedEx Ground, UPS Ground will not ship to those locations. Those are continental U.S. delivery options. And you know what? It took maybe dealing with that first order, finding out that I can't ship this package as I had planned, or I wasn't able to give them a calculated rate because they're in Puerto Rico and I didn't exclude them. And it just causes some confusion. You have to cancel the order, this, that, and the other thing. So hopefully that helps somebody out there. You know, again, many of you out there probably didn't need to see that. Maybe you knew all the intricacies of setting up your policies, and awesome. That's awesome. But I just kind of wanted to involve showing the people who maybe needed to see that, and also kind of explaining what I'm doing, maybe giving you some thought to maybe your policies. And are your current shipping policies working for you and the type of items you're selling? Again, it goes back to the video I made last week. Are you looking at your competitors? What's your competition doing? What are the solds saying? What's the market saying? Is that item being sold mostly with free shipping? Is that item being sold mostly with calculated shipping? You got to be in tune with the market. You got to be in tune with your competition. Set up your policies appropriately, and you're going to be okay. So guys, what do you think? Comment down below. Let me know if this information helped you. Maybe you're a new seller. Maybe you've been doing this part-time. Maybe you just weren't aware of all the options. Hopefully, someone out there was able to benefit from this information. And maybe you've been doing it for a while. And maybe this conversation of maybe evaluating your current shipping policies to be more in line with what is going to help you make more sales, I think that's important as well. So comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on that. Guys, do me a favor, hit that like button. That's all I ask you guys to really do when I make these videos. Of course, if you like this content, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, hit that notification bell. So when I make another video or go live, you're going to be notified and it'll appear in your list of videos to watch. So guys, setting up your policies, kind of having an idea of how that works in the background, it's just all another example of how flipping ain't easy. And I want you guys to have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you guys very soon.